Today on Pat's Car Garage, you'd think it's January, but no. It's March. It's March 28th. March 20 bloody 8th. Look at how much snow there is. This is insane. It's gonna end. It's gonna end soon. Roll the intro. Piece of junk. Black Magic Extreme. Oh, yeah. Remember the sad steering wheel? That's a drain plug. What the hell did I do? Check this out. So I think I owe a little update on the Jeep, because over winter, I've done a lot of small things, not really worth filming, but, you know, sometimes it's cold in the garage, you don't want to do big jobs because you're on the floor, and there's a little heater up there, but it's not enough to really make the garage warm enough to work. So you do small things, among which, we'll start at the back. I put new lift glass cylinders on the back. I'm still struggling to make the rear lift glass work. So basically the problem is I needed a new solenoid, and then the solenoid I bought to replace it wasn't strong enough, and then I discovered that the lock here also sends a signal to the lift glass, I believe, whether it's locked or not, and then that doesn't work either, so that can be bypassed, but I still need a stronger solenoid in the back. But that'll be in the future video. At least I made some progress back here. Moving... What the hell just broke? Oh, whatever. Moving towards the front of the car. Oh, yeah. Remember the sad steering wheel? Check it out. I stitched a new leather cover onto the steering wheel. It's not the best quality one that I could find. It doesn't go all the way up to the buttons. It just kind of ends here in the middle. So, you know, maybe I'll find a better one in the future, but at least it's better than the saggy mess I had before. It's not too difficult doing steering wheels, honestly. It takes about a half an hour once you figure out how the stitching works. Yeah, not a lot of job, just a little bit of bother to get it done. But it's all nice and restored now, at least temporarily. This is as good as it's going to be. Up here, I've temporarily put some pins in the headliner that will be fixed properly. I will have to remove the headliner, strip the fabric off, clean the headliner board up, and glue a new fabric on, but that will have to wait until it's warmer outside. Same thing with the center console here. I know how I'm going to fix it. Gonna fix it with our Lord and Savior JB weld, but again, it's too cold in the garage to let the JB weld set, so that'll have to wait as well, but at least there is a planned fix for that. Next up, one of the door switches was bad. I didn't know which one, so I replaced all four of them. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. And now at least my lights turn off. They're on right now. Of course, after 30 seconds or so, they turn off, and previously they wouldn't, which is bad. Oh, and actually, while we're here, we'll go under the car first, but for that, we're gonna grab something a little more comfortable to squeeze up underneath the car. All right, so under here, if you remember, I had an leaking pan gasket. Oh, of course the heater started. All right, give me a second. Yeah, the little heaters, they know. So, under here, I had a leaking pan gasket. It has now been replaced with a new oil pan with a new gasket, and it no longer leaks. And look, see that right there? That's a drain plug. The factory oil pan doesn't have a drain plug. So when you remove this thing, it falls on the floor and makes a giant mess everywhere. At least now we have a drain plug with this aftermarket design, and it no longer leaks. So I would say that's a success, and hopefully course, I changed the filter while I was in there. Hopefully that's the end of my transmission woes, but we will see. So just gonna hang that up on here for a second. I think it's time to pop the hood. Pop the proverbial hood. Except we're not gonna find a 2JZ like we did in that scene in Fast and Furious. What we will find is not even 1JZ, just a good old Jeep 4.0. In here, what the hell did I do? Oh yeah, fan controller is wired back there. If the camera manages to focus up on it, you can just about see it. It's hidden behind the battery. So now my electric fan is controlled and set to the correct temperature. So that's nice. Also screwed in like the LED ballasts for the headlights. They're screwed into the sheet metal. Actually, this one here is a better example of what it looks like. Looks clean, you know, not jank. The big one here is, of course, you may be wondering, how do you wire the electric fan to the controller so that the air conditioning works? And the solution is in these two wires here. So when these two wires touch, of course I got a little piece of electrical tape insulating them for now. When these two wires touch, the fan goes up to 50%. So now you have to replace this sensor with there is a factory sensor. You can find it on 2001 and 2002 Jeep Cherokees. They had electric fans as well. And the sensor has 4 wires. See, this one just has 2. So the 2001 to 2002 Jeep Cherokee AC pressure switch has 4 wires. 2 are for the AC clutch to disengage the clutch if either the pressure is too low or too high. And then there's 2 mid-pressure fan or wires, so to speak, that command the fan to turn on. So I have the sensor, and I just connect these 2 wires to that sensor on the appropriate 2 pins, and there you go. We'll have automatic control of the fan. Ooh, yeah. Under here, I wired in a bunch of stuff. I made a video on how to add circuits to the fuse box, but we have, I believe that's the electric fan now wired into the factory fuse box, and this here are the spotlights in front. So everything is clean and wired up. The spotlights, oh, and of course I added a relay for the spotlights, and of course the ground for the spotlights. Not wired yet. I need to run a switch into the cab and hook up this ground wire. And then the way it's wired up is high beams will power the relay. And then of course the relay is grounded via a switch. So whenever I want the spotlights to be turned on, I need the switch to be on and the high beams to be turned on. And then the spotlights will come on with that. So that's about it, actually. That's a quick update on the Jeep. We do have a couple of interesting things coming up on the channel regarding the Jeep. Most notably, we got gears. This is another gear. There are 410 gears for the, I believe this is the front and that's the rear. So 410 gears, or 410 fronts, 411 rear, something like that. One of them is off by a small amount, but not enough that it's actually going to make a difference. And with those gears, we got a little something special. Check it out. We've got Detroit True Tracks going in the front and the rear. So looking forward to this, but I have an announcement to make. The Jeep will have to pause for a small amount of time because I've got another car coming up. I'm not going to reveal what it is yet. It does need far less work than the Jeep. However, as a little teaser, I will tell you, if you feel like looking up the part number of the filter, that's the filter, and we got 16 spark plugs for it, and some other spare parts. So, in a couple of weeks, you will know what the new project is. Like I said, the Jeep will keep going. It is not over yet with the Jeep. This next car is really, really cool, and I can't wait to start work on it. I think it's going to be a fantastic project. It's a super cool car, very low mileage. Again, no spoilers. Stick around. In a couple of weeks, I'll put out a video on it. I did I did get the deal of the century on at least one part. I have here a brand new, is this a tie rod or a drag link? No, this is a drag link. This will be the drag, whatever, you won't see it. I paid $7 for that wholesale closeout, deal of the century. I'm quite proud of that one. Okay, you guys might want to see something quite funny. I was working on the transfer case. I put in fresh fluid in the transfer case, and now I'm looking into replacing the linkage with a better one, but I wanted to see if it's in two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive right now. And let me show you the worst U-joint that I've ever seen, and perhaps, oh, I just rolled over my camera strap here. Excuse the tight conditions. Okay, check out the sloppiest U-joint in the history of U-joints. Hoping the camera doesn't seem to be focusing on that real well. Alright, that's good enough for government work. Okay, check this out. Look at that sloppy U-joint. Oh goodness. That's terrible. Never seen a U-joint quite so bad. Well, this is why this car needs a lot of work. One of the big jobs is going to be a front and rear axle rebuild. Okay, now with the front drive shaft, oh, let's stop that from swinging around. Now, with the front drive shaft out of the way, you may be able to see old man noises. Well, you can't see old man noises, you can only hear old man noises. Oh, the strap just went in my mouth. Okay, so, just 1 second, I'll take my flashlight out. So the problem is this overly complicated contraption, which is the transfer case shifter, or transfer case shift linkage. So right now, I've got everything in two-wheel drive, so that ding is there, it goes towards the front in two-wheel drive and falls downward to go into four-wheel drive. And then, you know, it kind of just, you know, links up everywhere and does a whole bunch of shenanigans, and it's hard to shift these transfer cases because of that. And we're going to remove all this and make it quite a lot simpler. And we are replacing it with this here, As Is Design Works transfer case linkage. So basically, a much simpler design to shift the transfer case. Obviously operating a camera. There you go. So let's see, this is what it looks like. Of course it's still all loose. But one of these, okay, so this end goes on the transfer case. This end goes to the shifter, and then this is the linkage. Much simpler, just a straight shot back to the transfer case instead of this zigzag thing that the stock transfer case linkage does. This should be much better. And so here is the removed linkage. So what I recommend is the two rods. You can pop them out with an old prying device. And this, I don't know what this is called, but the pivot, whatever this you want to call, chop it off on one end, and then you can pop out this end from the bushing, and then it comes right out. So gone is that. I installed a new one, and to say that it is a million times better would be an understatement, because the shifting is shocking. Let me show you what that looks like underneath the car. If fit in. So, oh boy, okay, wait. You're gonna have to give me a little patience here. Okay, there it is. Yeah, this is how it's installed. Now it's in two-wheel drive. Linkage on the transfer case side goes towards the back in two-wheel drive because it's pointed backwards now, of course. And adjusting the turnbuckle is pretty straightforward. But yeah, I mean, look, we're gonna come up to the car, and I'm gonna show you the difference. Just gonna turn my flashlight off. Okay, let's climb up into here. And listen to that. I mean, it is a million times better. Now you can actually hear every single gear, hear and feel every single gear. So now we're in two. 4 for full time, neutral, 4 low. It is, I've never used a Jeep transfer case that worked this well. This is incredible. And coming out, neutral, 4, 4, 2. And there you go. I mean, brilliant. Love this thing. So here's a better look at the fan controller without the battery. That's where I installed it. The reason I had to pull the battery out is because I needed to put a new daytime running light module because my other one seems to have stopped working. So we're gonna see if this one works. If it does, then great. If it doesn't, then not great. All right, moment of truth. Before I strap the battery down, got the key in the ignition. I'll point that out, twist the key. Ayo! We got daytime running lights. High beams? Yeah, high beams work. Low beams are dipped. It looks like it's flickering on camera, but in person they're not flickering, which is what's important. Great, got daytime running lights again. So I wanted to show proof of the spotlights working, so I took the covers off. That is of course temporary, but that is the relay ground. That is now grounded to the negative of the battery. So now, if we go around here, first we're going to turn the low beams on. Click, click, low beams are on. And now when I flick the high beams on, the spotlights come on with them. And you see, spotlights are on with the high beams. Pretty cool, right? Makes it for an easy way to turn them on and off.